Book of Boba Fett, episode 6. Full spoilers in this episode. Um, wow, this episode was not what I expected. It had a lot of things that was like. One of these things was heavily rumored, and I thought it was. I was like, this is definitely going to happen. One of these things I didn't think was going to happen, and just. There's a lot in this episode that was like, oh. So we kind of start the episode with the Marshal, which some people speculated that he was coming back for this Tatooine fight, and looks like he is. Again, looks like he is. Fights off some of the Pikes. Then we cut to Mando in his ship. Did not expect this at all because this is like two more episodes away from the finale, right? I didn't think that we're gonna have a little Grogu side tour in the show, but also I felt like if they didn't do that and they told us that they were gonna do that, it would piss a lot of people off because of the fact that like you cannot put this story in Mandalorian season 3. It's not gonna fit in there. So basically, Mandalorian went to go see Grogu off screen, and we all missed out on it for boring Boba Fett, because none of us. I think a lot of people are just sitting here like, this show's not interesting. I'm not excited, and then Mandalorian sucked them back in that last episode. So now we're just kind of like, all right. So I'm actually glad that they did that. However, I did not expect what they were gonna do in this episode. So Mando goes to this planet. He meets up with R2D2. R2D2 sitting there. He's like, hey, looking for Luke, looking for, Grogu, the kid, and he's like, R2D2's, well, kind of being a douche as usual. I think people don't realize how much of a douchebag R2D2 is most of the time. But yeah, in this episode, he continues to be one because as soon as he gets to this little hut that's building, and when you see this little hut, it's very clear that this is the beginning of, the academy that we saw in Last Jedi flashbacks and stuff like that. And it's in the building process, which was cool to see that. Um, so you had R2D2. He takes him and he shuts down. And that's what I mean when he's just a douchebag. It's like, you could have taken him to Luke. He could have told him what he's doing. He just decided not to. And so Mandalorian's just sitting there because he's like, I guess I'm going to be waiting a while, so I'm just going to sit. Wakes up, and it's Ahsoka. And that becomes one of the reasons that it's very clear Dave Filoni directed this episode, because every episode that's had Ahsoka, he's directed. And I think we all just need to guess that as that's going to be a trend. If there's a Clone Wars character, like a major one, Dave Filoni's going to direct the episode they're involved in. So in this episode, Ahsoka's there, and she's like, hey, Mando's like, I didn't expect to see you here. I was looking for Luke. And she's like, oh, well, that's why R2D2 brought me instead. Again, douchebag move. But all right. R2D. So Ahsoka is like, she's like, I'll take you to them. So you kind of, and what we see in this episode is Luke, which I didn't expect to see Luke either. But what I really like about Luke in this episode is he feels like the Jedi trainer that we wanted in The Last Jedi. I think that's why that movie pissed a lot of people off, is because Luke Skywalker, I don't think Luke Skywalker was actually that bad as some people make him out in that movie, but it does tamper the legacy of that character while just evolving the character. So I get what they did with the character, but I think all of us wanted to see something like this. Luke training other Jedis and stuff. And he did that in this episode. And you really like it because even Ahsoka says in this episode, hey, you look like my father. Or you're just like your father, Anakin. Which we all want moments like that. We all like, I think that's been like things that people have talked about for years, of just wanting a moment where Ahsoka and Luke are in the same room talking about how he's just like his father. We've all wanted moments like this in Star Wars. And it's just like they finally gave it to us in the show that nobody expected, which was Mandalorian and Boba Fett. It's really cool. And I do like what they're doing with him, and Grogu. We get to see a flashback to Order 66. We still don't really understand who saved Grogu because, as we saw in the little clip that they showed, those Jedi died. So, I'm guessing who saved Grogu is a big deal. And if you want my honest opinion, this is my theory. I think it's Anakin. I think Anakin saved Grogu. I don't really know for what reason, but I think he saved him. And he did that because, well, we don't know, but I could see that happen. I want that to happen because, in the sense, like, Anakin, yes, he fell to the dark side, but he was never fully on the dark side, if you know what I mean. So, like, him going down that path and seem like, you kind of, it'd be nice to, like, have depth where he was always a level of good, not just this evil bastard, I don't know, that's just me. But yeah, I like that. And so we continue this episode, and we do cut to Boba Fett once in this episode, but it doesn't really add anything, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it's just like Mandalorian goes to goes to, like, with Ahsoka to see Luke, and she sees them training, and Ahsoka's like, "Hey, look, Grogu misses you a great deal. If you see him, you're gonna mess a lot up for him because he misses you a lot. And Jedi's aren't supposed to have attachments, and blah blah blah." Which, to me, I don't like that Ahsoka is saying this. Ahsoka is not a Jedi, as it's been established in canon. Ahsoka left the Jedi Order. And if she came back to the Jedi Order, I would like that to be explained. I don't want her to just be treated like a Jedi. And also, I think Ahsoka, of all people, should realize how shitty not having attachments is. Right? Because the way Grogu sees it, and I think she would understand this, Mando is his friend. You know what I mean? Ahsoka knows a lot about having a really good friend. That being Anakin and other really good friends. So that doesn't make sense to me as to why she's this wide sage all of a sudden. And I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I just want to see what that is. That bugs me a lot that in the show they treat her like a Jedi and all this stuff. She's not a Jedi, and she left the Jedi Order. I have a feeling that in this Ahsoka show we might get some flashbacks explaining some shit, but it's like, until that, I'm watching the show going, "Hey, writers, Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Stop treating her like one." Just bugs me a lot. But I don't know. That always bugs me. But Mando leaves the gift with the Ahsoka and leaves, just so he doesn't bother anything. It's clear that he's not happy about this, but that's what he does. So then we cut to Mando. He goes to Marshall to recruit him and his whole town that they've renamed Freedom or Free or something like that. Freetown, whatever. Free guy, whatever. I don't know. Which is alright, cool. I like that they renamed it that. But yeah, it's clear that they don't want to deal with this. So, but they seem like they're going to have a conversation about at the end of the episode until we see a little gunslinger walking in the background. He's walking forward. And you get a hint of what he looks like, but you don't really see what he looks like until he starts walking forward a little bit more, and you realize, oh shit, that's Cad Bane. Cad Bane. And I really, really loved this character coming back. But it's not something that I did not expect. I actually expected it because if we know anything about Clone Wars, is that there was actually going to be an episode where Boba Fett kills Cad Bane in Star Wars canon. And that episode was never made because the Clone Wars final seasons were actually canceled. And, Disney brought back the Clone Wars we know now, but they didn't actually do all those episodes that they planned to do. Which was like, oh, unfortunate. So, now, I think by the end of the show, it's pretty clear where this is going. Boba Fett's going to kill Cad Bane. Anyways, the marshal gets out his guns. His deputies there. They're kind of just sitting there, standing there, talking to Cad Bane. Cad Bane's like, "Hey, whatever the Mandalorian, whatever Boba Fett's paying you, we'll double it. The pikes, or not necessarily double it, but we'll match it, and you know, if you just step out of this." And he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, and he says things about Boba Fett that I imagine if the marshal would have continued to be alive, yeah, he dies, gets shot and killed, and the deputy. I'm assuming they're killed. I mean, it's not like the blast goes off screen and it cuts. No, like they're on the ground, so it's clear they're dead. So, but I would say that, like, if he would continue to be alive, you would see that him having distrust for Boba Fett because he says Boba Fett's a cold-blooded killer. He worked with the Empire, which we know now he's not. We know that he's a pacifist because things that have happened to him. But at the end of the day, Boba Fett still worked with the Empire and was a cold-blooded killer. He was a bounty hunter. That's kind of the job. Boba, but of course, as a bounty hunter, you don't think of it like that. You don't think, "Oh, I'm working with the Empire." You think of, "Oh, I'm just doing a job on whatever pays the most." So that's kind of how he saw it. But as viewers, we know Empire sucks. Light side is good. We know that, but like, that's not how bounty hunters see it. No way. So I don't know, but yeah, the marshal was dead, which I did not expect at all. I actually expected him to be involved in this conflict. Kind of sucks because he was a really good character who was only involved in one episode before this, and now he's dead. Just like shot and killed off screen. Or, well, on screen, but still like shit. And then Cad Bane just walks off. Very clear Cad Bane is going to be involved in this conflict, and he's going to be involved with fighting Boba Fett. Guaranteed, Boba Fett's gonna kill him. That's what I fully expect out of this episode, or out of the last couple episodes. I believe by episode 8, there will be no more Cad Bane. Well, and which is kind of another thing that's unfortunate, because like, we've had a lot of stories with Cad Bane, sure, but like, we just brought him back to live action to kill him off, Kind of unfortunate, but I feel like it's going to be a great moment because that's what Dave Filoni's always wanted. He wanted Boba Fett and Cad Bane to die, Boba Fett to kill Cad Bane, and we're going to do that. So I want to see that. But yeah, this is what I think is going to happen. I really enjoyed this episode more than I thought I would. I also want to mention this episode had really good pacing because when you're watching this episode, there's a lot that happens in it. We cut to Boba Fett, we do the Marshal, we have the Cad Bane fight, we have Jedi training, and all that stuff. And oh yeah, I didn't even mention the last part of this episode. Luke gives Grogu a choice. Hey, Mandalorian gave you this armor, you can have it, but I'm also gonna give you a choice. This is a lightsaber. It belonged to Master Yoda. You can have it, but you can only choose one. If you choose the lightsaber, cool. You can stay with me, be my first student in my academy, and learn the ways of the Force and be a Jedi. Cool. And then or you can take the armor, go back to Mando, and give in to your attachments, but you never be a Jedi. And Grogu doesn't make a choice within this episode, so I'm wondering if like this is a choice that he's gonna make in the next episode or the end of the season. I don't know. I think it's clear that Grogu is going to choose being a Jedi. Why wouldn't he? Right? Because it wouldn't make sense for this Mandalorian to continue palling around with this kid. That just doesn't seem right at all for them to do that. Doesn't make any sense. Especially since where next season's going, where Mandalorian is going to be obviously involved with Mandalore and all that conflict. Obviously, that's where this season's going, and so I don't believe this is what we're doing. So I think it's obvious what his choice is. I don't think we really need to see it, but I think a lot of people really want to see it. But I think we will get. I think we will know what his choice is probably by next season, but we won't actually see what his choice is on the screen. If that makes sense, because you'll eventually get an episode where you see Grogu again, and it's clear he's still a Jedi. Done. That's all the context you need. Um, so yeah, I do really like what they did here. Also, I really like the music in this episode. The music, so Mandalorian music always sounded like Star Wars, but it's like own style of Star Wars music. This episode felt very much like John Williams' classic Star Wars music to me, and a lot of that has to do with obviously they're training Luke. Luke's training Grogu, and you hear all the some of the like Force themes in the background and stuff. That was beautiful. Really, there's just a lot in this episode. If you can tell, this is my longest video about this show because while this is one of the actual shorter episodes, I think this episode has a lot of shit that happens in it. And that's pretty impressive. And this is obviously Dave Filoni's best directed episode, if you ask me. This is incredible because it's just like the man made all this happen in 1 40-minute. It's basically, if you count like credits, probably like 50 minutes, but it's like close to about 40-45 minutes long episode. It's not that long of an episode, but yet he crammed all this in here and made it work, and holy shit, it paid off.